faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books worldwide. Hi, this is Sally here with the Book Talk. Today, we're diving into this book titled The Philosophy of Retail. The author is Toshifumi Suzuki, the founder of Japan's 7-Eleven convenience stores, hailed as Japan's new god of management. 7-Eleven is Asia's largest chain retail group with over 56,000 stores in more than 200 countries worldwide, generating annual revenue exceeding 400 billion yuan. But actually, this company was originally founded in the US. Toshifumi Suzuki introduced it to Japan in the 1970s, which sparked significant controversy at the time. Well, because in most people's view, retail stores couldn't compete with large supermarkets and had no future growth potential. But Suzuki saw a different business opportunity. He persuaded Ito Yokado, where he worked, to establish a subsidiary to franchise 7-Eleven in Japan, launching a chain of convenience stores. Over the next 20 years, Suzuki, with his superior management skills, built 7-Eleven into Japan's largest chain convenience store. In 1991, Suzuki reversed things by acquiring the American 7-Eleven, making it entirely a Japanese company, and soon surpassed its parent company, Ito Yokado, in revenue. Later, Ito Yokado and 7-Eleven reorganized to form the 7&I Holdings Group. But naturally, Suzuki became the chairman and CEO of the new group. In an era dominated by large supermarkets, 7-Eleven created a miracle comeback for small retail stores. Why was he successful? What are his unknown management secrets? This book by founder Toshifumi Suzuki, The Philosophy of Retail, will give us the answers. In this book, Suzuki shares the unique business logic of Japan's 7-Eleven and also reveals his thinking process. The Chinese version of The Philosophy of Retail is about 200,000 words and mainly covers 4 key points. First, why did Suzuki bring 7-Eleven to Japan? Second, how did 7-Eleven disrupt the traditional logistics system? Third, how does 7-Eleven handle daily operations? Fourth, how did Suzuki optimize and upgrade services and products? It's all right. Now, let's step into Toshifumi Suzuki's business world together. Let's start by discussing the first part. Why did Toshifumi Suzuki bring 7-Eleven convenience stores to Japan? After graduating from university, Suzuki worked in publishing for a few years. At the age of 31, he joined Ito Yokado, a large Japanese supermarket chain. Ito Yokado is like Japan's Carrefour or Walmart. Soon, Suzuki became a director of the company. At that time, Japan was experiencing rapid growth and people's consumption capacity was soaring. Ito Yokado also expanded rapidly, which quickly led to conflicts of interest with small and medium-sized retail stores. Both sides eventually came to the negotiation table. As a representative of Ito Yokado, Suzuki proposed during negotiations that supermarkets and small retail stores could coexist. He believed that the core of successful management lies in product quality and operational efficiency, not in the size of the store. But the small store owners completely rejected Suzuki's viewpoint. They believed that big supermarkets were trying to crush retail stores with large scale and low prices, and the negotiations made little progress. At this point, a study trip to the US gave Suzuki great inspiration. Suzuki happened to see a small store called 7-Eleven in California, which seemed to have everything from food to daily necessities like a mini supermarket. Suzuki had never seen such a store in Japan. This experience introduced him to the concept of a convenience store for the first time. He thought that if he introduced the American 7-Eleven model to Japan, large supermarkets and convenience stores might be able to coexist. Suzuki returned to Japan with this idea and proposed to Ito Yokado executives that they franchise 7-Eleven, but the proposal met with strong opposition. Most people thought that since supermarkets appeared, small stores on the streets were decreasing. Why would you open a small store now? It completely defies business common sense. But Suzuki aimed to break that common sense. He disagreed with the objections. He believed that the decline of small and medium-sized retail stores in Japan had nothing to do with the rise of large supermarkets. It was because their management methods were too outdated. That's why customers abandoned them. It's just that these outdated ways have existed for too long and became common sense for operators. It seemed like there was nothing to reflect on, but Suzuki pointed out that first, the efficiency of these small stores was very low. They couldn't sell much even after being open all day. Especially in the evening, there are even fewer customers visiting. These small shops hope to shorten business hours to save costs, so they close early every day and take Sundays off. The customer satisfaction simply can't be high. Second, the era when cheap prices alone guaranteed sales is over. Consumers now focus on quality. As long as what small shops sell satisfies consumers, they should find survival value. In summary, retail stores definitely shouldn't clash head-on with big supermarkets. Instead, they need to find a different positioning, uncover unique business traits, and fundamentally boost competitiveness and efficiency to grow. If people oppose introducing 7-Eleven just based on the surface appearance of big supermarkets thriving while retail stores decline, that's too narrow-minded. After this speech, the executives were fully convinced, and the proposal to franchise American 7-Eleven smoothly passed. And so, in 1975, Japan's first true convenience store was born. All right, that's the story of Toshifumi Suzuki founding Japan's 7-Eleven. Breaking common sense is a major trait of Suzuki. His dislike for sticking to conventions is fully reflected in the following content. Now that the convenience store is open, Suzuki's next issue, naturally, is to consider how to get goods delivered to the store, which leads to the book. The second key point, how did Suzuki disrupt the traditional logistics system? In Suzuki's view, traditional retail logistics management has two big problems. First, one-time bulk purchasing. Second, inefficient delivery. Let's first talk about the problem of one-time bulk purchasing. In the 1970s, Japanese retail managers bought goods in bulk from wholesalers and only restocked when sales were almost done. Suzuki felt that without market predictions, bulk purchasing would cause stores to pile up a lot of bad inventory. In Japan's retail industry, unsold goods are a fatal blow to businesses. Moreover, if a small convenience store gets filled with unsold products, it's not far from shutting down. Suzuki proposed small lot delivery as a reform method. The biggest hurdle in implementing it is the wholesalers, who see retail stores buying in bulk at once. This is common sense. Switching to small lot delivery, as per Suzuki's method, immediately increases their workload and costs. So this reform faced strong opposition from wholesalers, but Suzuki didn't back down. After persistent efforts for 2 whole years, they finally agreed to cooperate and solved the bulk purchasing problem. After that, Toshifumi Suzuki started considering the issue of inefficient delivery. Back then in Japan's retail industry, each supplier delivered their own goods. Every day, 70 trucks came to 7-Eleven stores, and after implementing small lot delivery, the stores became even more chaotic. And for example, with milk delivery, 7-Eleven sells 4 or 5 brands of milk, so 4 or 5 milk trucks come every day. Innovative and solution-oriented, Suzuki proposed a more radical reform method, joint delivery of goods. What does that mean? It means mixing similar products from the same area together for delivery, reducing the number of trips, and improving efficiency. This time, Suzuki faced strong opposition from manufacturers and suppliers again. Just delivery trucks are one way to promote their own brands. Now, you want to use one manufacturer's truck to deliver a competitor's goods. That's basically wishful thinking. But once Suzuki sets his mind on something, no matter the resistance, he will stick to it. A few years later, several milk factories collaborating with 7-Eleven finally agreed to joint delivery. Suzuki once again broke common sense and pioneered in Japan's retail industry. Of course, Suzuki didn't stop there. He further optimized the joint delivery system. Based on the different characteristics of the goods, he divided them into three categories: frozen, chilled, and room temperature. Each type is shipped uniformly. For example, different brands of milk and juice that need refrigeration can be transported in one truck. And this highly integrated joint delivery system, in turn, supported the reform of small lot delivery. The number of delivery trucks per 7-Eleven store decreased from 70 to 9. Now, joint delivery is written as a classic case in logistics textbooks. So you see, Suzuki's title as the god of management is truly well-deserved. Now, we've finished discussing Suzuki's disruption of the traditional logistics system. The goods are already on the shelves. The goods don't sell automatically just by being on the shelves. The problem to face is daily management. Next, let's discuss the book's third key point: how 7-Eleven uses item-by-item management thinking and the three-step working method for daily operations. First, let's explain what item-by-item management is. Once, when Suzuki investigated bread inventory in all 7-Eleven franchise stores, he found popular varieties often sold out. This wasn't an issue before, as customers would choose alternatives, but now consumers only buy exactly what they want. If that item is out of stock, they simply won't buy. In other words, a potential sale is lost due to insufficient stock. From the convenience store's perspective, where's the problem? Taking bread as example again, stores managed all varieties as one category, ignoring individual sales trends. Since operators didn't know which specific bread sold best, shortages kept happening. To address this, Suzuki proposed targeted management for every single item. This is item-by-item management. To understand each product's sales, detailed data became crucial. At this point, Suzuki noticed the POS system invented by Americans. The POS system is a sales information management system enabling precise control with accurate data on each product's sales by time period. Is item management foolproof? No, that's just the foundation. The essence is Suzuki's three-step method: hypothesis, execution, verification. Only using this method allows flexible, precise judgments based on data. Now let's examine how these three steps work. Step 1, hypothesis isn't guesswork but starts with sales data combined with next-day factors like weather, temperature, and local events for objective analysis. Predict customers' next-day consumption psychology. For example, if a nearby school has a spring outing tomorrow, stock more kid-friendly snacks and drinks. Step 2, execution means stocking based on the hypothesis. The final step is verification. After closing, analyze daily sales, volume, and timing through POS to see where your hypothesis succeeded or failed. Then, start a new round of the three-step working method to prepare for the next day's business. Item-by-item management was not only widely used in Japan's 7-Eleven, but Suzuki also later promoted it to the US. In 2005, due to poor management, American 7-Eleven was acquired by Japan's 7-Eleven. After the company reorganization, Suzuki fully promoted the item-by-item management method, significantly increasing American 7-Eleven's revenue, bringing it back to life. In this world, there's no magic that can instantly boost profits. The key to success lies in whether you can constantly maintain awareness of problems, make a preliminary hypothesis that hits the mark, then execute and verify this cycle repeatedly. If you diligently practice this three-step method, you can hone exceptional business acumen and lay a solid foundation for your future career. All right, here we've finished covering the third key point. Finally, let's see how Suzuki starts from customer needs to optimize and upgrade. We all know about 7-Eleven's services and products. As convenience store operators, we need to closely monitor consumer needs, but what exactly are consumers' needs for convenience stores? Is it the freshest food or a full range of daily necessities? Actually, no, or not entirely. Suzuki believes that, from a human nature perspective, consumers' ultimate need for convenience stores is two words: convenience. Because humans are lazy creatures, once they experience convenience once, they start thinking how to make it even more convenient. Based on this idea, Suzuki started thinking of ways to let customers enjoy more convenience at 7-Eleven. At first, 7-Eleven provide bill payment services for water, electricity, and gas fees. At that time in Japan, there were no electronic payment methods. Anyone who wanted to pay utility bills had to go specifically to the bank each time. Not only was it troublesome, but banks also closed early on weekdays and were closed on weekends and holidays. In contrast, 7-Eleven is open year-round, 24 hours a day, so unsurprisingly, this service became very popular immediately upon launch, effectively increasing customer loyalty. Following this line of thought, Suzuki wanted to install ATM machines in 7-Eleven, but only banks had the qualification to install ATMs. So Suzuki waved his hand and said, "Let's start a bank." This bold idea surprised everyone. At that time, Japan was in the financial crisis after the bubble economy burst. Some people said banks were going bankrupt and convenience stores were just stirring up trouble. Others said this kind of project had no precedent and would be too difficult to pull off. Suzuki, of course, didn't take these objections to heart because Toshifumi Suzuki believed these objections were based on outdated common sense, while his decisions were rooted in observations of human nature. Under Suzuki's persistence, in 2001, 7-Eleven established 7-Bank, and ATMs were installed in 7-Eleven stores. This innovation gained customer recognition, with long lines often forming at the ATMs. Just by charging service fees, 7-Bank made a huge profit. The two services mentioned above are both based on analysis of customer needs. This visionary and ambitious. Suzuki boldly proposed that 7-Eleven should not just be a convenience store, but become part of citizens' life infrastructure, providing convenience in all aspects. So today in Japanese 7-Eleven stores, you can also use free Wi-Fi and photocopying services. 7-Eleven stores with space will set up tables and chairs, making it convenient for customers to eat and rest or to meet friends. Having covered service upgrades, let's now look at how 7-Eleven upgrades its products. Suzuki told employees that if a product doesn't meet consumer needs, even if it's cheap, it can only sell well temporarily. It has no growth potential and can't provide long-term, stable advantages for the company. Business tactics like discount promotions, exaggerated product designs, or trending marketing can stimulate impulse buying, but without high-quality products as support, customers won't make repeat purchases. To improve the quality of in-store products, around 2005, 7-Eleven started creating its own brand food items. 7-Eleven's food R&D is done in a team format, meaning for a new product, before launch, it not only needs approval from the R&D head, but also from all company executives, including Suzuki. If during tasting, any executive feels the taste is mediocre, that product has to be redeveloped. In the food R&D process, Suzuki always pursues perfection. For example, if Suzuki hears that customers think other brands' curry rice tastes better than 7-Eleven's, then 7-Eleven's R&D team must investigate exactly where the differences lie. Some might say that taste in food is purely subjective, like preferences for radishes or cabbage. It's all personal. How are you supposed to investigate that? Suzuki said that while everyone's taste is different, if we quantify ingredients, quality, seasonings, amounts, and cooking processes, and analyze them, we can understand what delicious really means. If after such research, our products still aren't tasty, we shouldn't even sell them. Otherwise, it damages our brand. Let me tell you another case of Suzuki pursuing perfection. 7-Eleven once developed a red bean glutinous rice ball, best known for its soft, chewy texture. But when first created, it didn't have that. The person in charge explained that it was because the factory lacked a steaming machine for glutinous rice, so cooking it in a pot ruined the texture. Upon hearing this, Suzuki immediately ordered the factory to update equipment and had the R&D team re-research everything. Varieties of glutinous rice and red beans, washing methods, soaking times, and steaming techniques, overcoming several hurdles. Finally, the red bean glutinous rice ball became a bestseller as soon as it hit the market. Although it's priced higher than other brands' rice balls, to this day, 7-Eleven's red bean glutinous rice ball remains wildly popular. Under Suzuki's high-quality standards for in-house products, 7-Eleven's private brand food sales reached 4.7 billion yuan in the first year and increased six-fold in 5 years. So, for a retailer, price cuts aren't the only way to boost sales. The right approach is to make products exceptional from the customer's perspective, like Suzuki did, to stay unbeatable. At this point, we've covered the essence of the philosophy of retail. Let's briefly recap. Part 1 introduced how Toshifumi Suzuki brought 7-Eleven convenience stores to Japan. Part 2 covered 7-Eleven's innovations in logistics, like small lot delivery and joint delivery. Part 3 discussed 7-Eleven's daily operations methods, item-by-item management thinking, and the three-step working method. Part 4 covered how 7-Eleven provides convenience and high-quality products for customers. Suzuki tightly grasped customer needs to innovate, and that's the biggest secret to 7-Eleven's success. Finally, let me leave you with a quote from Toshifumi Suzuki. Success doesn't require special talent. What matters is problem awareness and thinking skills. Using these abilities to notice market changes earlier than others and find effective solutions, that's the true path to business success. All right, that concludes our interpretation of the philosophy of retail. You'll find the listening notes below the audio. See you tomorrow.